Hi everyone, this is audapostrophe. Let's continue our game of Akaiito running HD Remaster running on Nintendo Switch. And my first opponent would be the forest. I tightened the cap of the mini tea bottle and stowed it in my backpack. It made a dull plop. From where I stand now, I can't find any path that seems to be trodden. When I set out to hike, I followed a normal-looking path, but it gradually narrowed into an animal trail. I did not notice when it completely disappeared. Even so, I forged on without any shred of doubt or trepidation. I have even forgotten my anxiety over being stranded in the mountains completely as I pressed on. Like a wad of silk floss, the unreliable touch of déjà vu seems to spin into shape. I have a strong feeling that the end of that thread must be the clue that will allow me to retrieve the memories I have lost. It feels just like the thrill and immersion you get from reading an interesting novel that makes you forget about your need to eat or sleep. Just like the hands that are too eager to turn the page of the novel to see what happens next, my feet carried me forward. As my legs were untrained, I had taken a couple of breaks as I trekked, but my heart was urging and spurring my body to go on. Overlaying the scenery before my eyes, with the landscape I saw in my dream, I pressed on. If you keep tugging at the ball of thread, you will eventually reach the end of it. But I wonder if it would turn out to be a miss, like those nice try, better luck next time pulls you get when playing Lucky Draw at a vendor, or would it simply snap before I could get to the end? Nevertheless, I hope to hit the prize. It has to be a winning pull, because I will get to my destination very soon. It was when I realized that the loud cries of cicadas had ceased. The noise at my feet on the grass beneath grew faster in pace. Shuffling noises. Zah. Suddenly, my field of vision blew wide open. I realized that we were about halfway up the mountain, and I knew there was something huge that I had to lift my head in order to see it in full view. A massive ancient tree towers above, letting bloom countless tiny white flowers. With years upon innumerable years of age piled on its trunk, one only has to stand next to its base to fully appreciate its immersive girth. It was only then that I noticed someone had come before me. He was a boy who was probably around my age, with his outstretched palm placed on the trunk of that tree. Zah! Wind blew from my direction towards him. As if it had carried my voice, the boy lifted his face. His slightly long, soft-looking hair swayed in the wind, in tandem with the flower petals that fell from the branches. I made the same exclamation again. It is a boy whose face I remember seeing, but since I have no acquaintances here, and the fact that I have no friend of the opposite sex... Ah, he must be the person Uzuki-san is looking for. My heart almost skipped a beat and thumped hard. It must feel rather uncomfortable to be stared by a stranger at like this, and it's natural for him to protest. If that's the case, then I definitely deserved it. His calm and gentle voice helped me regain my composure. For a boy, his voice sounded a little high-pitched and youthful. He closed the distance between us so that we could communicate at a normal volume, and compared to his voice or his looks, his height is more typical for a boy. I figured he should be of average height. But perhaps it was due to the slenderness of his limbs. I did not feel the fear of having my vision obstructed. Simply put, he seemed like someone I could easily talk to without feeling overly anxious. What the heck is it? All of a sudden, the background music just became way too loud. Halt! Calm down, music. My God. People are talking in this room. You wouldn't have me lost, would you? Even though I had relied on something as unreliable as memory from my dream, I managed to arrive at the destination just fine.
そう。いや、昔はこっちに住んでいたんだけど、今は違うよ。そういうことを聞く君は？
私もよそから。
なるほど。それじゃあ知ってるかな。もうすぐこの土地のお祭りがあるんだけど。
はい、泊まっている旅館のおかみさんに。
僕はその関係でちょっとね。
If he's related to the festival, that would mean he must be acquainted with Uzuki-san.
つかぬことをお尋ねしますけど、千葉うずきさんをご存知ですか？
千葉。
There was something about the way he responded. Could I have made a mistake by giving away Uzuki-san's name? Did I just do something incredibly careless? When the cops are going after a criminal, obviously it would be more advantageous to the cops if the criminal didn't know he is being chased. In those traveling detective dramas, criminals who grew wary of being on the run often return to their homeland out of nostalgia for a local festival. Such plot development is really commonplace. Wait a minute, Uzuki-san is tied to the festival herself, and she's a student, not a cop. But I should have at least asked if it's okay for me to give away Uzuki-san's name. Probably. But it's too late to regret it now. I am so useless. What is the point of trying to help if I was only getting in the way? I'm so dumb.
どうしたんだい？
今の質問、忘れてもらえませんでしょうか？
そう言われて忘れるのは難しいかな。今ので余計に印象深くなったし。
ですよね。
振りでいいならできるけど。
やっぱりいいです。
いいんだ。
はい。
A brief silence. The petals of the white flower swayed as a pleasant wind blew. Maybe as a gesture of consideration for how downcast I was being, he took the initiative to speak.
ところで、さっきの質問なんだけどね。
はい。
君の方こそ、その千葉うずきさんとはどういった関係なのか、よければ教えてくれるかな。
私です。
名前を出してくるぐらいだから、全く無関係ってことはないよね。
関係って言っても、泊まった旅館がたまたま一緒だったってだけですから。
たまたま？
ほら、ここってあんまり泊まれるところがないみたいじゃないですか。それに、私たちぐらいの年頃の人もいませんし。
それじゃあ、君は千葉島の人間じゃないわけだ。
Senba is well and good, but clan? It's not like there's some band of bandits that you see in the period dramas. Or could it be that I am someone who is extremely easy to read just from my facial expression?
ああ、千葉は地名でもあってね。何しろ土地に住んでいる人のほとんどが千葉の姓を名乗っているぐらいだし。
へえ。
かくいう僕も親戚つながりでね。一口で言えるほどには近くないんだけど、彼女とは遠縁に当たるんだ。
つまりは、あなたも千葉さん？
僕はケイだよ。
あれ？
ん？そんなに変な名前かな？
いえ、私もケイなんで。
それはまた。
奇遇ですね。ハトケイです。
I laughed softly and bowed.
ハト、ケイ。
Oh, I don't look happy with that.
はい。全国的に山田さんを圧倒して多数を占める佐藤さんの「さ」の字を千葉さんの「ば」の字とお揃いにしてハトです。K は将棋の桂馬の K ってあれどうかしました？
いや、別に。
Despite what he said, his expression told a different story. Maybe it was my presumptuous claim of putting the two surnames together that pushed his button. The awkward air between us was carried away by a wind that had a faint, sweet scent. As if plucked by that breeze, the white petals from the sacred tree danced in the air.
モンシロチョウみたい。
円樹の花びらはよく蝶の形に例えられるね。
円樹？
鬼の木と書いて円樹。この木の名前だよ。
鬼のこんなに綺麗な木なのに？
こんな木だからだろうね。
Fluttering and floating, the butterflies of flower petals danced in the air.
アゲハチョウ。今でいう華やかな門の蝶だけでなく、羽を立てる蝶をみんなそう呼んでいたらしいけど、アゲハチョウには鬼車という別名があってね。それらが魂の乗り物と言われているからなんだろうね。中国では鬼という字は木と呼んで、死者の魂のことを指しているんだ。
The tree of Oni, a tree for the souls of the dead.
魂を運ぶ蝶の形をした白い花。
Fluttering and floating, the butterflies of flowers petals danced in the air. It suddenly reminds me of a story of Butterfly Dreamer by Zhuangzi, which I had learned about in Chinese literature class. I dreamt of turning into a butterfly. I forgot myself as a man and flew in the sky. But when I woke, I found myself to be a man yet again. So did I dream of becoming a butterfly? Or as a butterfly, did I dream of turning into a man? Although it was a question without an answer, I felt certain that it has to be a dream about a butterfly. That is because butterflies...
北の地に住む人たちにもね、死んだら蝶になるという伝説がある。彼らは縁珠を魔除けの木としていて、死者を弔う墓標としても使っていたんだよ。
魂が迷わずに蝶に変われるように？
それはどうかな。だけどこのご神木は君の言う通りの意図を持って植えられたものだよ。帰ろうとしないある魂を蝶の形に変えて散らそうとしているんだ。
Somewhere inside my body, I could feel something gears into motion.
そうか、あの夢。
夢？
Those butterflies that were shining in pale blue, just like the moonlight. That subtle sweet fragrance of enju flowers. That a person appeared after that dream. It was after that red dream of myself when I was a child, led to this place by my hand by someone.
私、夢を見たんです。そうか、そうだ、彼女がわしら様なんだ。
Oh, Hashira-sama. Hashira-sama. With white wings. But butterflies of flower petals danced in the air.
見たのか。
He spoke with a subtle hint of resignation.
夢を君は見たんだね。
小さい私がここに来た夢を忘れろって。私はその頃のことを覚えていないんです。だからあの夢の記憶だけが私の昔の記憶なのに、それを忘れろって。
Did something happen in this place in the past? Something that I had forgotten? Something... I felt an impact from inside my head. The image that was about to take shape was rendered into a blurry mess of tempest, cyclone, vortex, vertigo. Everything seemed to be shaking. The distortion in my mind had even affected my vision as I lost my balance and staggered.
おっと、
A strong hand reached out and kept me from collapsing.
大丈夫かな。
ありがとうございます。大丈夫です。
長話が過ぎたのかもね。日射病かもしれないよ。
そんなことは。
それならあまり思い詰めない方がいい。彼女が忘れろと言ったのなら、それは思い出さなくてもいいことなんだ。
The manner and the tone in his voice felt as if he knew the cause of vertigo I had just suffered.
忘却は人に与えられた恩寵の一つだよ。君はそれを受け入れた方が幸せになれる。今さら藪をつついて蛇を出すことはないんだ。
Although their faces bear no resemblance, his words and his sharp gaze are reminiscent of Uzuki-san.
とにかく忘れていることを無理に思い出そうとするのはよした方がいいね。何が出てくるのか分かったものじゃない。それこそ。
Although he did not finish his sentence, I was able to catch the rest of his words clearly.
鬼が出るか蛇が出るか果ては両方か。さあこんな話はこれぐらいにしておこうか。
As if he was applauding, he clapped his hands and smiled, a gesture suggesting the end of our conversation.
本当に長話をしてしまったね。君はそろそろ山を降りた方がいいよ。
今から何かあるんですか？
山の天気は変わりやすいからね。特に最近の夕立はご神木を押し流してしまおうってぐらいの勢いがあるから。
ああ、それはすごいですね。
道もあんなで危ないし、慣れていない人は余裕を見て行動した方がいいんじゃないかな。
That was a valid point. My folding umbrella was in a big back I have left at the hotel, and if it were to rain, it would be a problem. Then again, even if I had my umbrella with me, using it whilst trekking down the mountain path would be reckless at best. It wouldn't change the fact that I would be in trouble if it were to rain.
でもそれは余裕を見すぎじゃないですか？夕方までは時間があるし。
いやね、ここは一応新域だから。
Now that I remember, Keisan, or rather Keiku, has come to prepare for the festival or something else, but I am just a layperson.
はい、邪魔してすみません。
邪魔だなんて思ってはいないんだけどね。
いえ、もう帰ります。
Keikun must also prefer to finish whatever he needs to do and return before it rains.
それじゃあ、ケイ君、お邪魔しました。それと、お祭りの準備、頑張ってくださいね。
I bowed and withdrew from the sacred ground of Hashidasama.
ヘミズカ駅前です。
ありがとうございました。
またのご利用をお待ちしています。
I descended the steps and alighted from the bus, finding myself on the rigid paved road. Back to the station at last. It was so comfortable being the bus with air conditioning, and after spending 30 minutes in my seat, I found myself reluctant to leave it. I stretched my body for a bit while acclimatizing myself to the temperature outside. Although it wasn't what I would call bustling with people, it was at least more lively than at the station front, and there were a good collection of shops. Due to the festival that is approaching, I could see numerous paper lanterns adorning the entrance of the shops. However, it was rather modest and plain overall, and all the decors I saw had faded colors. To be honest, it felt more peaceful than anything else. That thing over there is pretty flashy, and it really stands out even when I see it from afar. But upon a closer look, I realized that was not a decoration. As it came in my direction, I could gradually make out its outline more clearly. It turned out to be a car. It was also bigger and higher than a typical car, a cross-country four-wheel drive SUV that is designed to traverse treacherous terrains. Incidentally, for someone who knows very little about cars, such as me, to use terms such as cross-country four-wheel drive SUV, that is because I have been taught by a certain someone. Even so, although I have a vague impression of that large indigo roof rack on the SUV, I wonder if it's a reflection of the owner's personality and tastes. The bigger the red car, the more it looks like a car of someone I know. If it's an acquaintance's own car, it's only natural that it looks familiar.
こんなところで何やってんだい？
そういうさくやさんこそ、なんでこんなところにいるの？
It turned out to be someone familiar, driving a car that I have a vague impression of showing up in an unfamiliar town. Since she's the sort of people who would visit a place for fun on a whim, it wouldn't be out of place if I were to run into her in my neighborhood, but
仕事だよ仕事。日本に残された野生とかいうテーマで、タヌキやらキツネやらオオカミなんかの野生動物を取ってきてくれたとさ。
さくやさん、日本にオオカミは？
取れたら学会報告者だって。まあ 運が良ければ最後の一匹が見つかるかもしれないじゃないか。
代わりに幻の土の子とかが見つかったりして。
よしとくれ。蛇の化け物だなんて縁起じゃない。
咲夜さんにも怖いものってあるんだ。
人生長いと色々あるんだよと。
Sakya-san twisted the key in her car's ignition, and the low rumbling of her car's engine promptly ceased.
しばらくぶりだね。
お母さんのお葬式ぶり。あの時はお世話になりました。
I bowed my head as a gesture of gratitude. It was her who took care of all the things related to my mother's funeral and burial on my behalf, as I had no one else to turn to. Her name is Sakia Asama, an old friend of my mother's, and she is a freelance reporter, photographer. Perhaps it was due to her profession, she seems to be very well connected. In fact, she also introduced the tax counselor, who handled affairs relating to inheritance for me.
いいんだよ。それでこっちにいるのは狭間の屋敷。恵美子さんの屋敷の関係かい？
Hemizuka-san was my father's mother and my grandmother. As with many other things, I don't even remember what she looked like, but apparently Saki-san also knew her.
で、あんた狭間の屋敷には行ったのかい？間抜けな声出して、一体なんだい？
すっかり忘れてた。
なんだって？
お父さんの実家を見に行くのすっかり忘れてた。
あんた何やってんだい？
ごめんなさい。
Even so, I wasn't exactly sure why I felt the need to apologize to Sakia-san.
だけどその格好、山の方に行ってきたんだろ？
わかるんだ。
まったく、そんなピラピラした格好で山の中に入るんじゃないよ。ほら、頭の上にも。
Her stopped in mid-motion.
咲夜さん、どうしたの？
I leaned my body to the side and looked up, and I noticed a white enju pedal in her fingers.
それお柱様の。何？
She suddenly called my name in a low voice, and it took me by surprise.
あんた、あんなところまで行ったのかい？
あんなところってお柱様のご神木？
Although I felt that was not an appropriate way to refer to the place, considering how remote it was in the mountains, I suppose there was no helping it.
あそこに行ってきたんだね。
お祭りがあるって聞いたんで、ちょっと見に行こうかなって。
To be honest, it was certainly much farther than you would casually refer to as just go and take a look.
まずかったかな。神社のああいうところって禁足地だっけ？立ち入り禁止になってたりするけど。
Saki-san scrutinized me from head to toe as I struggled to come up with excuses before she finally spoke.
妙なことはなかったかい？
妙なことって？
そりゃ。
She fumbled with what she wanted to say and turned her gaze away. She even cleared her throat for dramatic effect. Still, I could not think of anything that could elicit such a response from her.
変な夢なら見たけど、それ以外にはないかな。
夢ね。
あの山って
ああ、その、なんだい？
It was evident that she was trying to hide something from me.
まあとにかくこんなところで立ち話っていうのもなんだから歌詞を変えようか。
そうだね。
とりあえず車に乗った。
Saki-san prompted as she reached for the door handle of her car, but she abruptly stopped.
と、そういえば K、 あんた昨夜はどこに泊まったんだい？
あ、榊旅館ってところなんだけど。
ああ、あそこかい。なら道もわかるからナビはしなくていいよ。
咲夜さん知ってるの？
夜通し走って着いた後一っ風呂浴びさせてもらったんだよ。泊まり客以外も集めないことにはやっていけないのかね。ほれ、乗った乗った。
Urged by Sake-san, I rushed to the passenger side door. I forget they drive on the
さて、到着
driver's
した
side
よ。
on the right side versus North America, where we drive on the left side.
お疲れ様です。
疲れるもんかい、このぐらいで。
As the hotel was within walking distance, we got to the hotel within a matter of moments. I unbuckled my seatbelt and got out from her car.
はあ、嫌な天気だね。こりゃ近いうちに一雨来るよ。
見てないのにわかるの？
わかるさ。空気の匂いとかでね。
Saki-san commented as she stuck her head in the back seat to gather her luggage. I tried the passenger side door to make sure it was locked. Okay, all set.
そういうのって職業柄？
いや、天気予報が得意なのは生まれつきさね。私の家系は鼻が利くんだよ。
So it is true that people with nicely shaped noses would have a better sense of smell, too.
荷物持とうか。
遠慮しとくよ。大事な商売道具だからね。非力な刑に落とされでもしたら大変だし。
私そこまで。あ、ほんと、お天気崩れそう。
Before I realized it, the clear sky a moment ago had become overcast with dark clouds. Splat. A tiny puddle appeared on the ground before me. Splat, splat. And puddles sprang up everywhere as drop after drop of rain fell from above. I felt the drop right on the back of my head. Before I could even put my hands above my head, the rain came down with sudden ferocity that I could no longer keep up with the frequency of the rain. Zah. Every single drop was huge as they descended with shocking momentum before striking the earth, the roof, and on me. The raindrops bore down with shattering force. It was alternating between concordant and discordant sounds. For some reason, it almost sounded like ocean waves to me.
すごい土砂降り。
かあ、これじゃあっという間にずぶ濡れだよ、まったく。
Under the downpour, Sakia grabbed her luggage and dashed for the hotel. She stopped and looked towards me as I stood still.
ってあんたは何を立ち止まってるのさ。急いだ急いだ。グズグズするんじゃないよ。
And she scolded me. Yeah, why am I always spacing out? I feel like I'm a moron for MC. Within the short distance between the parking lot to the entrance hall of the hotel, I was soaked from head to toe.
お帰りなさい、波藤さん。大変だったでしょう。
おかみさん、すごい雨ですね。
でもすぐに通り過ぎるわ、きっと。その前に波藤さんは着替えないといけませんけど。
Like a writing brush that has soaked up too much ink, the ends of my ponytails were dripping with water as the drop slowed my tracks all the way from the entry hall. Gripping them by the roots, I slid my fingers through the ends of my hair and left a small puddle on the tataki.
道理で頭が重いわけだ。
The puffy sleeves I wore also stuck to my skin, and it looked rather awkward. Even if I were to pinch them and pull them all off, they would stick right back to my body without fail.
降り始めてからしばらくボケラッと悠長に構えてるからだよ。まったく。
あら、そちらの方は？
この人は私の知り合いで。
Flashing an elegant smile, Saki-san pulled out a business card from seemingly nowhere and offered it to the hostess.
浅間咲也と申します。
あらあら、ルポライターでフォトグラファーなんですね。
はい。文筆では主に生形面について、写真は山や野生動物など自然を主に扱っております。
Her formal speech gave no clue of her typical ostentatious bravado. That's how a professional in employment is expected to conduct herself in such situations, I guess.
こちらのハトさんの家とは祖母の代から知り合いなんですけど、先ほど街で偶然に。
あらあら、それで。
はい、駆け込みで申し訳ありませんけど、こちらに部屋は空いていないでしょうか。
大丈夫ですよ。余裕もありますし、お客様は大歓迎です。
ではご厄介にならせていただきます。
いえいえ、こちらこそ。よかったわね、ハトさん。頼りがいのありそうなお姉さんがご一緒で。
お姉さんですか。
Then again, she does look rather young, even though I have no idea how old she actually is.
やっぱり浅間さんはこちらへ取材にいらしたのかしら。
それは先日郷土資料館から鏡が盗まれたことについてですか。
あら、そういえばそんなことも。いやね、こんな田舎にまで泥棒だなんて。
Although the hostess seemed to have completely forgotten about the theft, it was actually covered in the news this morning, if I'm not mistaken.
ハトさんには言ってあるんですけど、こちらではもうすぐお祭りがあるんですよ。それでてっきりそちらの取材で来られたのかと。
はい、それは存じております。ですがここ10年ほどですっかり廃れてしまったと聞き及んでいるんですが。
でも今年はうずきさんが来たから少し賑やかになるんだって。
うずきってもしかして千葉うずきかい。
あれ、咲夜さん知り合い？
まああの家とも古い付き合いがあるっていうか、いろいろと因縁がね。
Since Saki-san also knew my grandmother, that means she must have been in and out of Hemizuka before. And since Uzuka-san's Senba family is related to the family that was in charge of the festival preparation, she might have visited this place in the past as well.
なるほど。
Judging from Saki-san's expression, I don't think they are on friendly terms, but that would explain why they are acquainted with each other.
うずきさんもここに泊まってるんだよ。
Now that was an unpleasant voice of genuine disgust. Given how heavy the rain was, no matter how much rainwater had accumulated thus far, it would be exhausted in no time. As one would expect from afternoon squalls, by the time dinner was served, the sound of rain hitting the roof had ceased. As the thin veil of cloud was drawn away, like a curtain, the sky had changed its stage and waited for the spectators. The moon, hanging high above in the pitch-dark sky. Perhaps the intensity of the moonlight was too excessive. The stars seemed to have avoided the moon and instead shone from quite a distance away. Saving its peak for a few days hence, the moon seemed to pay no attention to the stars. After bathing in the vapor of the evening shower, it shone with a cool light. And then, turning to the spectators that were approaching its view,
うずき、なんであんたがここにいるんだい。
私も宿泊客ですので。
私だってそうなんだよ。不快になるからその面見せるのやめてほしいね。
その言葉、そっくりそのままお返しします。だいたいこちらの逗留先に乗り込んできたのはあなたの方でしょう。私が文句を言われる筋合いはありません。
this is far from being a graceful situation. Even though the experience of moon gazing in the hot spring right after a scrumptious meal ought to be indulgent in its own right.
お母さんと来たかったな。
If she had been working so hard that she would collapse from fatigue, I would much rather she come here to relax a little, even if that meant less income. In fact, we should have just lived here and we would be able to come at any time we wish. And since we have a house, we could even save money that we paid for rent. While it is true there's nothing in this place and that I'd prefer the place we had rented, but Mom. Then again, if Mom had come here, it wouldn't have made her work any easier. Even if she had done her translation work as a freelance from home, as long as she had a fax and email address, but transportation would definitely be a problem for interpretation cases. My drawn-out sigh echoed through the steam in the bath.
あれ？
Somehow it had gotten quiet.
どうしたの？うずきさんはともかく、さくやさんまで黙っちゃって。
言葉の通りでしょうね。
あんたは。
二人とも仲良くしようよ。
それは無理ってもんさね。
私は構いませんよ。咲夜さんが私の邪魔をしなければ。
さくやさん、そんなことしてるの？
さてね、私は私の人道に基づいて行動してるだけなんだけど。
That was such a convenient way to put it. For example, some overzealous environmental protection organizations, a small minority, have committed horrible acts out of their ideologies for what's just and fair. Stop. Self-righteousness.
なんだいけ、その非難がましい目は。
クジラのお肉、美味しいのに。油からヒゲまでちゃんと無駄なく使ってたのに、ひどい。
は？
確かに意味不明ですけど。咲夜さん、普段の行いが問題になっているんでしょうね。
あんたらみたいな時代錯誤を押し通すような連中には言われたくないよ。
人のことを言いますか、あなたが。
そうだよ。大事な伝統を伝えているんだから、少しぐらい仕方ないよ。私のクラスにもおことの名取りの人がいるんだけどね。
And Rinchan would also use strange expressions such as so desu wa too.
ああ、なんだいなんだい。あんたぐらいの年頃だと親をないがしろにして友人とつるみたがるもんだけど、母親べったりだった K までその親友で付き合いの長い私よりポットでの小娘の肩を持つんだね。
She did it. Sakia-san, who wasn't acting like an adult at all, started throwing a tantrum. More accurately, she pretended to be throwing a tantrum. I could see why she became so close with Mom, given how her personality must have been right up my mother's alley.
伝統を大事にしたいんなら、もう少し年寄りをいたわるべきじゃないのかい？
年寄りって誰が？
Acting like a Westerner, Sakia-san stuck out her thumb and pointed towards her own chest. And so this is what it meant to be rendered speechless. Her bosom showed no hint of age and were so substantial that I felt terribly unfair. If someone of the same sex like me would be awestruck at the sight of her womanhood, it would be safe to assume that at least half of the world's population would agree with me. Her confidence as a mature, attractive adult was through the roof.
いいもん。私たち小娘はまだ発展途上だもんね。
With one quick motion, I submerged myself into the hot water, hidden below the chin. My gaze wandered over to the rippling water surface and then to Uzuki-san, who is similar in age, but it seems that Uzuki-san has also been granted an unfair advantage in life. Even though her waist isn't much different from mine, why would the difference between us in bust size be so substantial? Hang on. If we were to factor in height as well, I might still stand a chance. But her waist would...
K さん、どうかしたのかい？
別に。
それならいいんだ。私たちの大人げなさがこのいさかいには無関係の K さんまで不快にさせてしまったのかと思ってね。
うずきさんは大人だよ。
ん？そうかい？
I looked up and the light of the moon was bearing down on us. In the Japanese language, there were two particular expressions. Kachofugetsu. Kachofugetsu. Flowers, birds, moon, wind. And Setsugeka. Snow, mountain flowers. Huh, yeah, very common. Can't remember just telling my friend the other day. Setsugeka. Man, I can't believe summer. In both these expressions that embody elegance and grace, the common elements are flowers and moon. Although I am not referring to the hands of Hanamizake, flower-viewing sake, or Tsukimazake, moon-viewing sake. From the game of Hanafuda, the Japanese really do like the moon and flowers. Although this isn't the season for sakura blossoms, on a moonlit night like this, those enju flowers might fit well. Ah, that person told me about the name enju.
なんだいケイ、もうのぼせたのかい？
そんなことないけど。
Should I tell Uzuki-san about having met the boy who has the same name as me? Tell, better not bring it up. No, I should probably tell. I mean, really.
おはんのセーブするファイルを選んでね。
I mean, why would I
セーブす
keep
る
that a
ファイ
secret?
ルを選んでね。
I think I better tell Uzuki-san about it. Even though with something convenient like cell phones, they might have contacted each other. I suppose I should just check.
そうだ、うずきさん。私、ケイ君に会ったよ。
は？ケイがケイに会ったって？何をとんちんかんなことを言ってるんだい、あんたは。
さくやさんは黙ってて。
へいへい、それで？
ほら、うずきさんの尋ね人の。
へえ、あんたが男をね。
もう、さくやさんは黙っててって言ってるでしょ。うずきさん、ちょっとあっちに行こう。
ああ。
さくやさんは来ないでよね。小娘同士の内緒話なんだから。
あんた小娘ってね。
ほら、うずきさん行こう。
I pulled Uzuki-san's hand and moved towards the corner of the bath.
それでね、うずきさん。
ああ。ケイさん、あなたは奴に会ったのかい？
Uzuki-san narrowed her eyes and asked with a slightly troubled expression. Could she be feeling shy or something?
でも、やつなんてそんな言い方。
呼び方を区別しないと、先ほどの咲夜さんではないが、問題が生じるだろう。
まあ、それはそうだけど。
Of course, if you are talking to the person in question, as long as they don't refer to themselves in the third person like a child, there wouldn't be a problem. But if a third party is involved, things could get tricky. On the other hand, referring to Keikun as Senbakun with Uzuki-san could be quite weird. In the end, Uzuki-san called him that fellow, and I referred to him as Keikun, and we left it at that. But somehow that didn't sit right with me.
せめて、彼とかにしない？
いいんだよ。奴で十分だ。それでケイさん、どこで奴と会った？話はしたかい？おかしなことはされなかったかい？
うずきさん落ち着いて。とりあえず順番に話すから、そんないっぺんには。
Even though I had already gotten used to such a barrage of questions thanks to Yoko-chan, I didn't expect someone as composed as Uzuki-san to do the same.
会ったのはお柱様のご神木の前だよ。大きな縁樹の木の。
あそこは神域のはずだ。
うん、やんわりと追い出されちゃった。
Uzuki-san's expression grew grimmer.
やっぱり近くまで行っちゃったのはまずかったかな。それでね、ケイ君にはお柱様のご神木になってる縁樹の木についていろいろ教えてもらったんだ。綺麗な木なのになんで鬼なんてついてるのかなって聞いたら、鬼っていうのは死んだ人の魂のことなんだって。
説明はそれだけだったかい？
あと、蝶は魂を運ぶ乗り物だとか、魂そのものの形だとか。他にもあるの？私としてはちょっと認識大逆転って感じの豆知識だったんだけど。
いやね、縁樹に付随しての鬼の知識なら中国における木の説明だけでも十分なんだが、鬼の
But his explanation on Oni itself is still lacking.
奴があなたには説明しにくいだろうことは結局ぼかして話しているんだなとね。 木という外来の文字に結びついた日本の鬼については説明がないだろう。
でもさすがにそれぐらい知ってるよ。私だって日本人歴長いもん。あれだよね、桃太郎とか一寸法師に出てくる虎の毛皮のパンツ履いてる。
Although the first thing that came to mind wasn't Momotaru, but the famous parody song Funiculi Funicula.
世間一般に普及しているイメージではそうだね。ではその鬼の中に木と結びつく要因はあるかな。
A common element between Akaiito and tiger pelt pants?
黄色と黒？
Seriously though, this isn't road construction.
ケイさん、隠れるという漢字は陰という呼びの他にも音と読んだりするだろう。
講義隠密とか？
そう、今あなたが言った隠密。忍びは鬼と近いところにいる存在だ。
忍者が鬼？
I couldn't understand how we got off on such a tangent. Anyway, ninja is supposed to be fully clad in black, a gaudy combination of black and yellow. Could tiger pelts have some camouflage effect in a place like bamboo groves? As I tilted my head and tried to make sense of her words, Uzuki-san simply said, "Just let me finish before continuing."
鬼はその音という言葉からの天下という説が推されていてね。物に隠れて現れることを欲せざるゆえに、俗に呼びて鬼というなり。と、本邦初の漢和辞典和名集にもそう記されているんだよ。
Huh.
鬼から隠れるんじゃなくて鬼が隠れるの？
Just as I thought a mystery has been unraveled, another mystery presented itself. This world is truly full of mysteries.
逆だよ、ケイさん。順番が逆なんだ。あるものを鬼と認識し、鬼と名付け、鬼という鋳型に押し込むのは人間だ。人間が鬼を作るんだ。だから鬼が隠れるのではなく、隠れたもの、隠されたもの、隠れざるを得なかったものが鬼になる。
原点？
そう、原点ってあんたら何を色気のない話をしてるんだい？
さくやさんはこっちに来ないでって言ったよね。
まあね。とはいえジャーナリズムに関わるものとしては耳をいつでもそば立てておく必要があるのさ。
うずきさん、無視しよう。
あんたはそんなに冷たい子だったのかい？
自業自得だよ。
まあ長湯が過ぎるのも体に触るだろうから、取り急ぎ話をまとめて上がりにしよう。木と鬼とが結びついた要因だけどね。鬼は鬼とされた時から人の世を外れて死者の列に連なることになるんだ。死者が生前と変わらぬ姿で現世にとどまっているとすれば、それは
幽霊ってこと？
そう、鬼となることは木になるということでもあるわけだ。
今だって死亡届が受理されちまえばそいつは死人の仲間入りだよ。単なる行方不明でも7年続けば晴れて死亡認定さ。
なるほど。
That reminds me about ninja or spies who are often said to have their personal information erased and disavowed when they get caught by enemies.
それとは逆からのつながりだけど、鬼人が亡くなった場合にはお隠れになったという言葉を使ったりするだろう。
隠れる。
いくら成り立ちを知ったところで、鬼は人にあだなす人ならぬものの総称として使われることになるんだけどね。
Uzuki-san stood up from the midst of the steam.
奴のように。
ブするファイルを選んでね。セーブするファイルを選んでね。ロードはタイトル画面に戻る？
Alright, why don't we stop it there? This is audap. You've been watching Akaiito HD Remaster
赤い糸。
running on Nintendo Switch. Yeah, boy, it's getting more interesting and a little bit creepier as we go on, which is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Yeah, I'm glad there's a success decided to remaster these. It's a shame they couldn't get 16.9, but I imagine the source material maybe either doesn't exist in a format that could be practical for, or it would have been more trouble to do that with, especially for all this hand-drawn animation. It may never have been made in anything other than a 4:3 aspect ratio in mind. So yeah, who knows? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.